If it's 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is the hour of Empower. Today we've got the word employ, and that can have many definitions and applications. I'm so honored today to have Kelle and Harvey back together. And, we're prepped, ready to go. Chat's open. We depend on your comments to direct where we go, and we're here just for you. And if you can come out of here with some takeaways, some connections, some better feelings of yourself and your future, then we've done our hour here. So thank you very much. With that, I'll turn it over to Kelle before the avalanche of comments starts coming through. And Kelle can bring you a little bit up to date. And then Harvey will have a chance to share his update.
Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or if you're tuning into the replay. I feel like it's been a while because I just got back to Arizona from Christie's on Wednesday and have been on the other side of my move, unpacking boxes and trying to get set up in my new home. So that's been kind of exciting. And it's great to be back. And the word employ, I honestly think this is something that's so important right now because so many people are looking to be employed. and, and there's just really such a struggle with it and the process. So I would be interested to know, I know quite a few people here who are looking for work. I know you've shouted out a few during this past week even in highlighting, but I know that it's definitely a struggle. And I've been working with recruiters and for the main purpose of, hey, recruiters aren't all bad. I mean, recruiters are one of those things, they get a bad name. But I think since the market has changed so dramatically, and specifically even in the past 6 months, that everybody's looking for like, what can I do? And I know we've talked about here, get on LinkedIn Live and pitch yourself, which is wonderful. But also, what are those things that you need to do to get in front of employers to be able to get an interview? Like that actually seems to be the little mystery that people are not getting to these days. And there's a lot of struggle because it's impacting, their mindset, their mental health, financial situation. And again, it's great to have a place here that we can all come and ask each other, hey, I'm looking for help. I'm really struggling, because we're always happy to reach out. And that being said, I know Harvey does it all the time. You and Christy post jobs that employers are looking for, which is fantastic to help people. So I would love to get your insight on this, Harvey, because I'm sure you've got a great thing to add here.
Thanks, Kelle, and it's great to be here. And hello, everybody. There's some already comments flying in from lots of people. I mean, the subject today is so close to my heart. It's become the primary reason that I'm here on LinkedIn, to help people who are in the process of looking for a job. And different things, it can mean you're looking to be employed. It can mean you're employing someone. It can mean you're not happy and achieve different things in a job. So I am just really hear people's stories and their experiences with being employed or looking for work, because I really want this hour to be an hour of helping people with real practical stuff that people can take away, improve their CVs, get a better understanding of the process. Something that really genuinely helps them get a job. So, I'm experiences, as people know, but I'm just looking forward to hearing other people's.
Oh, that's so giving and generous of everybody who is going out of their way to find people work, who actually are looking for work themselves at the same time. So that's double generous. And the word originally was employment. And then I decided to cut it like a day or two ago to employ. because the other direction one can look at is how are you employing yourself? How are you employing things, right? How are you putting yourself to work? How are you hiring yourself and giving yourself a raise, right? What if you said, I'm going to give you 50,000 more a year, but you got to do these things you're not doing, right? And if you can do that, then you can earn your money. And I think that's the key, is not giving someone a job, giving somebody a future. Jobs come and go. People get them, people lose them as soon as they get them. Sometimes people don't like what they're into, but if someone has a future, a direction, and, I think the key to employing yourself is finding a way someone who you get to know, trust, and like sees the value in you and wants to employ you. Get in front of people and be the interview before the interview. And you'll be interviewing the person that supposedly is interviewing you. And, there's so many people on LinkedIn. There's so many people to the right that if everybody just reached out to everybody and says, hey, I'm an artist looking for this, just wanted to let you know, right? I mean, it wouldn't take long. It's not intrusive. It's not asking for anything, and I really think people's posts should be about their situation. Is like, hey, I'm in this situation right now. Not desperate, not needy, but I just want all my friends to know how, my future looks, and is there anybody else can brighten it for me or with me? I mean, that would be a simple post, and if no one ever answered it, what would it be? So I don't want to monopolize the conversation, which is so easy to do, and I'm always guarding against. But let me share the names. I'll turn it over to Kelle. Melissa's here. Melissa has a great show. Melissa's quite a personality, and so happy to have you today. And John, okay, greetings. Thank you. Matt Smith is here, everyone. Matt follows Harvey really well, and I'm so happy to have you, Matt. A wonderful lady from Tunisia. Thank you so much. Mike's here. Mike's, you got to know Mike if you're going to know what LinkedIn's about. So, Mike, thank you so much for coming today and supporting the show. And I do everything I can to support the Hounds. Tagging all those people. Kofi's here from Qatar. Thank you so much, Kofi. Kofi's got a great book out there that I read and you should read. Let me just keep rolling. Kinga's here. Kinga's been here almost every day. Charming individual. It always leaves the log pile bigger than she found it. Dennis is here. Leslie just hit it out of the park yesterday. Thank you for being here, Leslie. Sima's here from Pakistan. Just a wonderful lady, as I know, over 25,000 connections and a big influencer out there. And we've helped each other over the years. Here's Renata. He's been here pretty much every week. Ehiran is here. Great to have you. Sima says, I hear you, Kelle. This is always a challenge to handle. Love to see you all. Same here. Dean was wonderful the other day. If you didn't see the show with Dean, you got to check back and look at it. Good afternoon from Netherlands. Lillian's here from Romania. Thank you, Lillian. I've known Lillian for years. She's got 70-some thousand connections and is a kindergarten teacher. Great place to hear for sure. My network connection is too poor. Well, that's always an issue. Hats on to all of you, Dennis says, always with a laugh. Thank you so much, Dennis. Hello. Okay, Paul's here. Paul's almost about every day and always bringing something quality to him. Him and Leslie are appreciating each other. Employees everywhere, but not an employer to share a drink. Well, it's all how you go out there. And okay, we just covered that. It's so great that the first 50 comments is hello, and then the next 50 start getting into it. Melissa, yeah, this is like a love fest. We're glad the three are live, employing and sharing your experience. Kinga, I'll just try. Okay, here's Paul. I was just thinking, employ yourself and putting the key to joy in your pocket instead of a company. Well, you don't need someone to give you permission. You don't need somebody to tell you how to work. You don't need someone to tell you how to live, because once you turn that over, why? To a stranger? When you can hold it for yourself. And what I love about what we're doing is I don't got to get board approval. I don't got to worry about investors. I don't got to worry about partners. When you can just be you and share you, that's when people will start employing you. State your ask, help others with theirs, tell your story. Melissa has a tremendous story of where she was to where she is. And it's just employing what she's telling people. We're not living one way and sharing another way for you to live. We're all trying to learn and live together better. Who thinks me and Don should trade hats? I don't know. I don't know how many. Well, I'll give it a try. Send me one of yours. I'll send you one of mine. Dennis is here. Thanks for letting us know to be in the know, not the know. Well, that's a lot of no's. Olu, hi everyone. Glad to be here. Wishing you the most amazing Sunday. Gosh. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Kelly because we'll never get done with comments. Kelly.
Yeah. So, so many things. I've talked to so many people, and I don't even want to just say recently. One of my purposes at the beginning of the year was to get more purposeful in my networking, and that's definitely been the case. And so many people who are looking for work are just really struggling. And it's, they're trying different things, it's just about getting the elusive interview, getting a human being on the other end of either the phone or on an email, because not even getting responses. And, the big other thing that keeps coming up, and I've heard multiple responses on this, is when people see jobs on LinkedIn and it says that there's been like 2,500 people have applied. I've heard different responses of what that actually means. I've heard that that's actually impressions of the post. It has nothing to do unless it's a easy apply, because that's the only way they could actually calculate how many people have job posts or had applied, but that you should still apply. But it is, what can I do on paper or on my profile to stand out, to be a little bit different? And job postings there's a lot of scams, and I'm seeing a lot of people that have had that and what it's doing to them, because it's people posing as a recruiter and then getting their information, and they're trying to, pitch this person, or, definitely the ones you get in your email. If they ever ask for a social security or a phone number right out of the gate, you probably want to go delete. So it's just kind of an interesting time. And then going into business for yourself, like Paul said, it sounds super easy. I'm going to do myself. And I've referred to myself as an accidental consultant for the reason of being laid off in 2020 and then not being able to get hired as a marketing executive. Good luck during that time. So I just had a few people reach out and ask me to do some consulting work. But I didn't build a business. It was just kind of accidental. So now I'm building it backwards. And I think a lot of people are going through that and weren't planning on having to promote themselves as an independent. And what does that look like? So I think there's just so many different layers of what people are going through. And, those are just kind of my initial thoughts on that. And I'd be interested to what other people in the chat have to say, as far as how many of you have been trying to start maybe your own business or take your future in your hand. Because I did feel the same way, as like, I don't want to be in corporate America and be like, hey, marketing's going first again, yay. So I would be interested to know what you guys have been seeing or what you're doing, creating your own business. Because then that, of course, can go into so many different layers as well. So what are your thoughts, Dawn?
My thoughts while you were talking, I created some new thoughts, was that, when we look at employ, it's really taking something that isn't being utilized, right? So you take something that's inactive and you make it active, and now you employ it and you get some benefit from it. But here's another thing is when people talk about jobs, in my perspective, it just means just over broke. You'll always be working if all you have is a job. And that's if someone wants you to keep working.
Right.
For you to get a reserve, especially when everybody's got a story, been out of work 7 months, been out of work a year, or doing work I really don't want to do, but I got to pay the bills. Well, how much reserve did you build up in anticipation of, how much did you insure yourself to have 6 months worth of income in the bank? That's not easy for a lot of people, but you're never going to get it if you're spending everything you make and you're not making enough even to keep your expenses up. So the point is the only way you can do that is through yourself, because you don't limit yourself. You can work 4 more hours a day if that's what you need to do to get what you need to get, because it's all achievement that matters. Coming close just means you didn't make it, But here's what I would say to everybody out here that most people don't realize. You as a, let's say, valued resource to yourself or anybody else is starting to develop a special skill set, which is LinkedIn and LinkedIn Live specifically. And with that said, any employer that looks at you and understands that you could be close to, I wouldn't know about an expert at this, but this has so much value to anybody in any organization. And that's how I would represent oneself, is I bring all whatever you brought, plus I'm leveraging LinkedIn and LinkedIn Live in my communication strategy. Well, that's going to separate you from the field, right? Because everybody else is going to come in and say, what do you want me to do? And what do you got? Versus, hey, let me see what you're doing and let me see how I can apply this special skill set. Either way, you're coming in as the master and the few versus the one who's waiting for a reply because you're just mixed into the pile, or your stationery isn't as pretty as somebody else's, or your handwriting isn't as good. I mean, all that stuff. So anyways, I got to get into the group. Olu's here. I'm trying to skip over. Mike says, but Don's hat is way more expensive. If you only knew. Kristen, happy Sunday. Kristen's been here almost every day. Okay, Olu says it's a love fest. Oh, okay, moving forward, trying to get something here. Kinga says people don't understand how the ATS system work, or each company can use different ATS systems. I'm not quite familiar with ATS, but I'm sure it applies to people fitting in and not. Okay, I have actually gotten past my jobs from LinkedIn. You just have to research and be intuitive about it. Mike is, I couldn't relate to that more. Kelly, okay, Cindy has a comment. So many scams, if they're offering a position that pays too much, then throw that email and scam. I've almost applied to jobs that have over 7,000 applications already. I'm trying to sell some precious stones, but it's more of a side gig. That's reality there. What Cindy's dealing with, everybody's dealing with. What you got to do is improve your odds of being seen and of being appreciated. And if what you send or how you show up isn't seen to the best you can, because when someone used to interview for me, if they weren't on time, that was almost the end. If they came sloppy and disheveled, that was like the end. If they wouldn't look me in the eye when they were talking, that was kind of the end. So see how you look to yourself and how you're going to look to others. And then in the first 10 seconds, if you can't get someone's appreciation or attention, you're just time waiting for the door to open. That's just the cruel reality of it. Dean says, no kidding. Once you put in info, if it doesn't register, go to file 13. Mike says, you're either building your business or someone else's. It doesn't matter what you choose, only that you choose, and no one else holds you back. Now, I'm not an absolutist. So there are companies, there are employers that really, really do a great job on culture, helping their people out, partnering with them. And if you can find that, you're not actually working for somebody, you're working with someone. And that's a distinction. You know, if you're not respected, if you're not equalized, at least as soon as you walk in, and then it should be merit and performance, it's not a fertile ground for you, and you're not going to be happy over time, or let's say this, as happy as you could be to control your time, control your activities, control everything, where you get to choose everything and build where, they say a fish can only grow as big as the bowl you put it in, and that's typically the situation with people. So Harvey, I'll just say hello to Allison is here, trying to catch up a little bit. Okay, Raquel's here. Got to have Raquel back on the show. She's just unbelievable. Paul has a comment here. I'm surprised how many job seekers don't utilize live video. I've had many reach out to me from my experience, and the biggest commodity is attention. And I found here that live video garners attention. That's something most creators aren't doing. So true. I mean, a 10-second clip is better than a 3-page letter, because you want to get that attention. Cindy says, I had my reserve and it just ran out. I've been out of work coming up on 10 months, and that's tough. It really is, and I can feel for you, Cindy, because every day just seems like another day, and I just feel like Paul makes a good point. Get on LinkedIn Live and broadcast every day and tell your story, and someone will see it and respond to it, as long as it's not needy or anything like that. If it's going to be, it's got to be up to me. That's the only way you can look at it, and hopefully tomorrow everything changes for you, Cindy. Kofi says, hello, Cindy. Oh, here's a big one. It sounds simple, but there's a huge mindset change needed between being an employee versus working for yourself. Having gone through that myself, I'd implore anyone making the leap to have a circle of support around them for those days. For those days when it's tough and you just need to talk. Well, that's hopefully what we're creating here. What Kelle and Christy are doing with the Awesome Journey, and what Gretchen's doing with the flight attendant, and what Paul's doing with Impossible Equals I'm Possible, and on. And Melissa Houston's show. There's so many places where you can find either like-minded communities or communities that offer you different things at different times. And then it's coming down to personalities. People are saying, when's Leslie coming back? When's Harvey coming back? And, that's great, because not only do you have a platform, but you have a person that you relate to, and an everyday person that you can talk to this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon if you really needed to. If anybody would start like, hey, Kelle, hey, Harvey, I really have to talk to you. Can you give me 30 minutes? You wouldn't wait 2 weeks to get the 30 minutes, right? And it's there. It's real. And I think that's what Danny was saying. If you're going to make a big leap, put a safety net underneath you, just in case, and maybe you'll take that leap knowing there's someone behind you versus jumping out of somewhere not knowing where you're jumping to. So Harvey?
Yeah, some really amazing comments coming in as well, and I've been frantically sketching these down on my paper here. And apologies for my reception today, as you can see. I just wanted to pick up a few things that people have said. So Alison said that it takes a little bit of time, but keep your dream ahead of you. And I quite like that one. I think whatever you do here and your journey to get a new job, it will take time. But, if you even if you're changing that goal or that dream, but keep it ahead of you, then you've always got something really positive to look forward to. So I thought that was a great comment to make. Mike made a good point actually about visibility as well. And I thought this was a good point. He said, there's no point creating a masterpiece if it's in a cave. And I quite like, as you know, I'm an artist, so I like that analogy. But if you're the best person out there for for a job, or even if you've got amazing talents that you want to use to build your own business, if you don't tell anybody about it, nobody will know about it. And I think, a few people have said, why aren't people utilizing a LinkedIn Live? And I think absolutely, if Don said on many occasions, just be on LinkedIn Live in the morning, take a break for lunch, on in the afternoon. This platform, I think, especially a LinkedIn Live, gives an opportunity for people to be able to get to know who you are. I've been on many interviews, 2-3 hour interviews, 5 interviews, in a process. And do they really understand who I am? Probably not. They get an idea. But if they look back at, at a LinkedIn Live, it really, your comments, they're really getting an idea of who you are. So this platform is and doing a LinkedIn Live. Now, who said about starting their own business? I'm trying to remember who said this, but the fact that they would need support. That was a really, really good point, actually. It was Danny. It was Danny about a change of mindset. Now, I think that that's a really valid one, actually.
Yeah.
It is difficult, and I've started my own business before, but this is exactly what Don said. And this is kind of where sort of different LinkedIn Lives, different little communities can work really well. But, if you have started your own business, build up a community of people that you think are going to support you around that. Do a LinkedIn Live, get their input, build that community yourself. And, you'll get ideas, you'll get positive encouragement. I think that's a fantastic idea. Also, Mike was saying about our hats.
Okay.
Now, I have to mention the hats. Hats are a good thing here. But I think sometimes when you're looking for a job, looking for an opportunity, you've got to kind of wear different hats. And yes, on the one hand, you might be applying for jobs, but you also might be thinking to yourself, well, what skills have I got? How can I utilize these? What passions have I got? And that's another hat. You might be helping out somebody else. So I think, we joke a little about the characters that we create with our hats, but I think it's really valid that we all wear different hats, especially, when you're looking for new opportunities. LinkedIn is just a sea of opportunities. I often quote the fact that it takes one connection to change your life, and it does. And I can name them. 2 of them are sitting next to me here today, but it's really true. So just sort of keep on connecting, and keeping an open mind as to where you might connect. And you never know where that next opportunity is going to come from. But it does take time, and I think it takes direction as well. You've got to. You may keep changing it, but I think you've got to know where you're going, and you've got to put in the time. In fact.
I think Harvey froze up. So Kelle, Harvey made some tremendous points, answering some quality questions. So what is your view of employ now?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that he hit on so many great points, but I think another really important thing to do is not just doing, a LinkedIn Live, or if it's something you're afraid of, reach out and reconnect with people. Have conversations. Just say, hey, I want to catch up, see what you're doing, see what's working for you. Because I know for me, having and being on lives, I will tell you, I've had people who I haven't seen in 10 years message me and be like, hey, let's jump on a call and catch up and see what's happening. And then there's opportunities that are coming out of it. So I think it's so important just to continue to talk, and getting discouraged is, I understand it, but I think there's also a point when we get to being desperate, and that desperation so comes across, and just being able to have a sounding board of someone who can be, neutral and just being able to give it to you straight. Like, hey, this is what you need to be focusing on. But I just think having more conversations, reconnecting with people, and being okay to say, you know what, I don't know what to do. I don't want to do a live. I'm nervous about it. I don't know what I would say, but who can I have a conversation with? Because like I said, for me, reconnecting with a lot of people that I haven't had conversation with in a long time have opened up different opportunities that I'm not really sure what they look like, but it's kind of like, oh, there is something I could do there. And I know as someone who was also corporate America and was laid off, I feel like I want multiple revenue streams. I don't want to just do one thing. I feel like, God, I kind of like doing this. I want to dip my toe in something a little bit different than I've done in the past. But I know we also all need to have a paycheck. And I know a lot of people are struggling even to get jobs at like a restaurant or a retail store. And they're like, I can't even get hired at Sprouts. And how discouraging that feels. And that's rough, but it is reality. And people are really struggling to say, well, now what do? I can't get any work. And I'm trying, or they're getting this part-time work, which they want to be temporary. And it's a toxic environment. And it's like, it's just a nonstop, but I feel like community support is always the foundation to anything like that, which is one of the main reasons why I loved the Hour of Empower to start with, and why I'm still here, is the supportive community. There is not anyone here that if you reached out to and said, hey, I loved the point that you made today. Can we have a conversation? I want to explore it a little bit more. I just think that those are talking and having that connection of community. It's a mindset and it's emotional support, which I think so many people are needing. And it is heart-wrenching to hear people being like, I'm a paycheck away from, I can't pay for anything. I'm a single parent and I have children. And I can't get a job at a local thing. And I'm applying for absolutely everything. And that feels discouraging. But then I feel like when we're all so desperate trying to reach everything, we lose focus. And so sometimes just having that conversation with someone and getting ourselves refocused on, hey, here's the steps maybe that we need to do. And there was also a point that, and I think it was Kinga that said something about ATS. And, and Harvey, I would actually like your input on this, because this is another thing I think people have been, and I want to say I'm probably one of them. My understanding of ATS back when it was first happening was that if you didn't have certain things on your resume, it was like kicking it out, that it's not running it through to kick out the rejects. But it is a system that does help them see who is the right fit for the position. But maybe you can clarify more on that, because I do think there's a lot of misinformation on what ATS actually does. And people are, people are nervous about things they don't understand.
Well, here's Kinga comes back and says, companies implement software for the recruiters called ATS that will read your resume before a human ever sees it. Most applications never see a human eye. They get rejected by the ATS because they all work differently and formatting gets screwed up. So, again, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole doesn't work. And the world's not going to change. It's only going to get worse with AI and everything else. So it's a matter of what side are you on, right? Are you on the side that no one's there yet? No one understands the power of it. And all you're looking for is a job. And here's the other thing I'd like to share with everybody. I would never take a job with somebody who I thought wasn't someone I can learn from, grow with, and enjoy spending time with. I would never say, if you want me, just pay me. I'll do anything, just give me money. Yep. And you know what? No one's satisfied with that, even at that, because then there'll be more, and eventually you got to figure it. You got to do it for yourself. And here's what I would have loved to see when I got on LinkedIn seriously full-time 3 years ago. It is all these beautiful people who are here today and commenting. I wouldn't need 37,000 connections. This is a lifetime here. If you just said, okay, write down 40 people here or whoever, follow their material when they post. Just ring their bell, right? You're going to get notified. You look at their post, you see who posted the best comment, which really means, did you see it? Did you watch it? Did you point something out? And did you support that person? And, all you have to do is, here's 40 people, 20 people, whatever number you choose. I commented today. I shared their post today. I watched their program today and showed up. Times 10, do that for 2-3 weeks of the best people here. You're going to end up on their show,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Dean came on the show the other day. Lillian came on the show the other day. Why? Because they supported the show, and the show will continue to support the audience. I'm not a big fan of bringing people in who never see a show, never support the show, and think they got something so valuable to share with strangers they don't know and haven't taken the time to get to know. That's a disqualifier. And if you start being the chooser, things start changing, as opposed to hoping to get chosen. You can start choosing right now. I'm going to choose to contact these people. I'm tired of this. They say when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you do something, But anyways, let me go through this, because this will be, no question about it, the most popular show we've ever had, just from the comments we've already gotten, let alone the ones we're yet to get. And I think it's so cool because the audience connects with this conversation, connects with this word, and more importantly, connects with everybody, because somewhere down the line, you've been there.
Yeah.
You've lost a job, you lost an opportunity, and you thought for sure it would never take you as long as it's taking you. And then all of a sudden, your pride starts taking a hit.
Mm-hmm.
People don't look at you the same way. Things like deadbeat starts going into people's heads, or why aren't you doing something more? And that's the other side of the support side. So not only do you got a challenge, you got people challenging you while you're in the challenge, versus people are like, hey, don't worry about it. And the other thing is, having a support group is not like you're going to get a job through them or buy them, and that might happen. But they may allow you not to do something dramatic during this process, right? That's the key thing. You don't want to do something in a moment that you'll never be able to undo because you didn't have a job today. And you know what I would advocate, and I've done it for myself, get down to the minimum amount you're going to need and get some help, along the way, not the last minute that you need help. If you only have a few weeks, well, start now on those few weeks of reaching out. And you'll see how many people come to you, because I swear to you, I've been in experiences where if I didn't get help, something very bad was going to happen. And the people who came to my aid were people I never expected. And the people I expected to come to my aid never showed up, And, if I would have waited only for the people I thought, I would have come up with nothing. Mm-hmm. And it was just some people who would, and want to be part of something that was worthwhile. So I think that's key. So, Harvey?
Very, very quickly, Don, because of my connection issues, I thought I'd better jump in while it's working.
Yeah.
And I was just about to do a prop as well. So people are going to be disappointed and I can't leave them hanging like that. So my prop today was this. Now, I don't know if we can see this one, but it is a compass and a sundial. So I thought that worked quite well.
I did think it was an old sundial and compass. Well, Harvey will be back.
Yes, Kelle, we hope.
What's going on here?
Well, again, I see quite a few comments on ATS. Now, again, I've heard different things from different recruiters. Some say it's just a system for them to track resumes. It's not that it's actually rejecting anybody. that was a big myth, that people thought if you didn't have certain words or what have you in it, that it was kicking you out right away. It is a factor, of course, that human beings aren't actually looking at your resume usually for quite some period of time. And in corporate America, I mean, I know from very large global organizations that I worked for, there would be people reviewing resumes for positions that really had no business doing it. You know, they were maybe mid-level management, but didn't have an understanding really of what they were doing. So it was very subjective of how it's gone through. So those were just some thoughts, because like I said, I did see a lot of ATS comments. And I think there's also another layer of, I know employers that are not hiring employees anymore, that they're doing 1099, but then treating their 1099 like they're employees. And I know some people personally, and I actually was one at a period of time, of being able to say, well, hey, I'm 1099. I'm my own business. I'm a consultant. You can't tell me that I have to work for you 60 hours a week when that's not what our contract was. You pay me hourly or whatever it is. And, you know, there's negotiation, which is a totally different skill set than going to, you know, getting to be an employee somewhere as opposed to a 1099. So I think that's also been another layer of shifting with people, because organizations or smaller businesses found out, well, I don't need to have these employees anymore. I can keep them as 1099 vendors and not have to have benefits and other things. So that there just seems to be so many different layers of things happening that for some, and I can say I've been in that position, it's overwhelming to be like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean I can't get an interview or even a callback sometimes? And I know that's really impacting some people, like you were saying, Dom, with their mental health, and just being like, these are the times you need to reach out to your community and your peers and just be like, hey, it's not just you. Trust me. There are thousands of other people that are going through the exact same thing that you're going through. And now that you're back, Harvey, I want you to continue with the compass.
Yeah, I just thought the compass was good to sort of indicate direction and time. But while we're talking about this ATS thing, somebody said something to me about it, and I don't know, this needs checking out, but it might be worth doing anyway. So if you're applying for a job and you want to get through this automated system, if you take the job description, cut and paste it, put it in the smallest possible font, in white, it won't be visible to a human, but it will be visible to a computer, and it will pick up every word that was in the job description. I think if there's an application process that allows a letter of some sort, maybe it's worth trying. I don't know the provenance of that and whether that is the case, but if you're applying for a lot of jobs, it's worth trying it. The other thing I was going to say as well is one of the ways to get through this process. You know, I've been in sales all my life, and I think if you can visit a company, if you get up the strength and courage to actually get a list of companies you'd like to work for and go knock on the door and say hi and introduce yourself, you know, you've got to accept the fact that you might be told to go away with some of them, but you might get a conversation that way. The process, the application process is very automated. But if you go in and you say hi and they meet you, not many people will be doing that. Most people will be sitting in front of their laptop. But if you go and say hi and you go and say hello, that might be a good thing to do. I'm just picking up on a couple of things that were said before my reception went, but Matt Smith said about personal branding. Even though it's a clicky word, but it's very true. You know, what we put across here, especially if you do LinkedIn Lives, there's no escaping who you are, whoever that is. And, you know, it's good. You know, people can really see who you are, so you can really work on it. Danny said, you never walk into a room, shout, and then leave. And I quite like that, because it's about when, you know, if you're trying to engage on things, you know, if you put a post out there but you don't respond to any of the comments, or you don't as I said, I've been in sales. So what I would sometimes do is if I was looking to try and promote something to a company, I would find out who was there. I would genuinely find people I was interested in following and chatting to, and genuinely engage with them. And then they become your advocate. They put in a good word and get past some of those systems. I've also seen here actually that some people are saying that ATS is a US system, not a European system.
Someone else said it was global, so I'm not sure.
Okay. I mean, there are certainly these systems, and like you said, Kelle, there are people out there that perhaps aren't qualified to sift through. Really it should be the CEO of the company or the, somebody right high up in the department that's looking at these things, but doesn't always happen. So there's going to be ways to be inventive. I think be creative,
Yeah, I think one of the things, and I've done this in the past, and I know I've said this on a different show at some point, is if you know someone in an organization where you want a job and they're hiring, reach out to them. Or if you know someone else who has a connection at that organization, ask them, hey, do you actually know this person? And could you reach out to them? Because you need an in. I mean, let's just be honest, that's so much more helpful, especially when it's the C-level staff, because they are usually the ones that end up, hiring, or, someone is involved in the process of making the final decision. So I don't know, that's just a way that I always think, or I've reached out and been like, hey, I noticed that you guys are hiring this position. Is there anything else? And here's my resume. Can you let me know if you have anything that's commensurate in the future? I mean, don't be afraid to reach out. They're human beings too. And I guarantee you they understand the struggle as well. So it's not.
Paul's just said something that's really interesting as well. Somebody reached out to him to say, do you know anybody at X company, whatever that company was? And he laughed and he said he knows the founder. So, that person obviously then, was put in touch with absolutely the right people. The other thing about it is if you pick a company you're interested in, and you send out a LinkedIn connection, don't start at the CEO. You're not likely, if there's no one else there, to, get a connection, but everybody within the company. And then you'll suddenly start, getting connection requests accepted, having conversations, and then suddenly you'll start to be, noticed. I think that's some this is really, really valuable. I mean, my wife recently has been looking for a new job. There's take homes here for all of us, and new opportunities and new businesses and new ideas. Hopefully this will spark an idea that someone might think, well, okay, I might be a consultant here, or I'm going to do my own LinkedIn Live. I've got a community of people I can help here. One of the things that you have, going back to my sundial here, but when you're looking for a job, you do have time on your hands while you're not being employed, and use that time, because you can do some amazing things with it, especially, on this platform.
Yeah. And I think that Danny brings up a good point here too, which is reaching out to your alumni group. Go Devils. That's always a good way too. Your university or your college reaching out to alumni or whatever other groups, and even groups on LinkedIn. I mean, there's a lot of great groups. Take the time to see, like, whatever field it is that you're going through, what groups are available, and make posts in those groups and reach out to them for some advice and for some help. Because I guarantee you somebody will answer.
Well, I think to Danny's point and to the other points, one of the key words that keeps showing up is do this, do this. And here's something that should be very easy to appreciate. While you're waiting for someone to hire you, hire yourself to get hired. So what is tomorrow's 8-hour workday going to be, right? You're going to wait for someone to employ you to go to work? Practice on yourself. And, if you wrote down 8 o'clock, I'm going to do this. I'm going to post my post for the day. At 9 o'clock, I'm going to comment on 5 people in my feed. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to do a LinkedIn Live with someone, or to Kelly's point, start with being in everybody's audience. I know Leslie Flowers was talking about putting together a kind of a guide to LinkedIn Lives that are around.
Yeah, she did. It was awesome.
And if you can say, okay, well, at 11 o'clock, this is better than watching Price is Right. At 12 o'clock, it's better than worrying about what's not happening. You could actually document your day tomorrow as a regular day. And at night say, hey, what block of time here could I redirect to get me a job? Because if all you're talking about is getting a job, not having a job, being broke, right? That's time you could be spending to get that job.
Yeah.
Right? The scoreboard will take care of the game. It's the people on the field just got to play. And, that's really what someone's going to say is, if you haven't had a job in 7 months, what have you been doing? And it's not that a lot of people might be working so hard, but climbing the right ladder against the wrong wall. It's your approach. And that's why having a support group is someone may see something you haven't noticed or add something you didn't know existed. And all of a sudden it completes a lot of maybe the questions or doubts you're not really appreciating. But here's, I think, to Kelly's point, is start building an income that you'll continue to build even if you get a job, right? Because then your dream is still alive. Then when you're working with somebody, you're actually using them to allow you to build what you really want. And now it's not a job, it's a stepping stone, right? It's a life preserver. And once you know that, then you really don't care, because in time it's going to be temporary. And the harder it is on your job, the more you're going to work on your side hustle, let's say. But if all we're talking about now is going into business by having a LinkedIn Live, there's no cost, a few dollars, with Restream or StreamYard, and that's about it. And like I say, I'd rather be talking to anybody than talking to myself, especially if I'm in need, right? If you fell and you couldn't get up, how long would it take for you to start screaming, I need some help here? Right? You wouldn't say, oh, a day or two, someone will show up. No. So anyways, Danny seems to be prodigious today, coming in with some great comments. Don't do the job description thing that comes through, and it just shows you're not only fighting with people, you're fighting with machines. How much fight do you want? Cheating the system. I mean, the system's broken. Let's just face it.
Amen.
Spot on. Here's something Danny puts out there. Think of it as being highlighting your Word doc, copying and pasting into Notepad. All that hidden text appears. All the formatting disappears. That's good to know. If you follow people that work at the company that you are interested in, start commenting on their posts. One thing that came to mind, Kinga, is there's people that wouldn't want me that I wouldn't want them working for me. So if you're interviewing somebody that, if you owned a company and this person came to you for a job, would you hire them? If the answer is no, don't work for them, right? They're not good enough for you right off the bat. Why do you want to fit in? There's so many other things. Christy says, okay, exactly.
Don, I just wanted to pick up actually on something that Melissa said, if that's okay.
Sure.
Apart from she said that I'm excited about the comments, and she's absolutely right. I'm reading through them with absolute excitement, because this is genuinely passionate for me. And, every week it is, but this is such an important subject. But Melissa had a really, really good idea. She says, get a skill that you've got. There it is. Talk about an existing skill set that you have. So put a post out about that skill set, how you've used it, some exciting examples of that, and then hashtag the industries or the companies that, because when a company gets a hashtag, someone will be in that company looking at that hashtag. That is an interesting way to get through the filters to be able to have a conversation with somebody, and then you can look at who's looked at your post. But that's a really, really good call. Everyone should listen to that one. Whatever they're looking to do, get a list of really interesting and relatable skills, and then hashtag away, to everybody, or at. You can be as brazen, and a few people have put there in the comments that they're happy to just contact a CEO. And some people are, and it's great, and it's a good way of doing it if you've got the confidence to do it. And I encourage it. But if you don't, and at least you're putting things out there like that, and getting some hashtags or at, if you've got a list of people, let's say you've spent a couple of days trying to connect with a company you'd really passionately want to work with, and you've got a list of 20 people there, not only hashtag industries or companies that you'd like to look at it, but at those individuals, tag them. Don tags us all in the posts, and we all see those. Tagging people on your posts is a way for people to be able to see it. So we've got these tools, so it's really worth, I think, utilizing those. Sorry, I didn't mean to butt in, Don, but I'm really excited about
great.
Travel.
And I just think
as well.
on what you just said there too, Harvey, is that people, even if you don't want to tag it on the front end of the post, send the post to them direct through your message and send them a personalized note. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're not going to reply. Like, who cares? But the best thing that can happen, they will. Because they'll be like, wow, this person is different and doing something. I want to have a conversation, or at least getting you a look at. And I don't know. I just think there's always things about trying something different and out of your comfort zone. You absolutely have nothing to lose. Zero, and everything to gain. Those are just my feelings, because if you don't ask, it's always going to be no.
Well, and if you do ask, even a no will teach you something.
That's right.
It might teach you how to ask the next person differently. Mm-hmm. It might might require asking the person who told you no to explain maybe, and find out if you get an answer. And here's the thing. People, if all of a sudden you get a post and you got 100 comments, like in 20 minutes, you would be thrilled. But just think if you did 100 comments that day for other people, how much value that would be. All you're doing is accepting and responding. And that was another thing that people, I think, have time issues with, is they go to LinkedIn and they look at everything that's lit up. New connection requests, new comments, new messages, and then they support their post. Meanwhile, the first hour and a half is spent just doing what everybody else asked you to do. And what were you proactive about doing, and why wouldn't you do your work first for yourself first? And then secondarily, respond to the people who have already done their share for you. You ever with someone and something, hey, dinner's starting, and they're playing a game. It's like the game will be there after dinner. The dinner won't be there after the game. So, I really want to encourage people to use this not to get something, but to learn something, to get to know someone who might help you down the road. I mean, if you're making a long-term commitment, make a long-term commitment, and don't look at this week, I got to make it happen with this person, right? Because they're going to feel that. The other point, to Harvey's point with CEOs, is if you're going to get higher up on the ladder, make sure it's about them and not you, right? If I was going to write a CEO, I would say, I've been visiting your stores for 8 years. I'm one of your best customers. I love everything you do here. I would just be thrilled if I could get a position in your company, and I do everything I can to make it better. That CEO, if they had somebody send them a letter, not like, hey, I'm a merchandiser who's got 3 years of experience, what that CEO would do is turn it over to somebody, right, who may be in finance or whatever department, and say, look at this outstanding letter I got, right? And that's how you would get it. But you wouldn't get it directly, because I'm like, hey, you're talking to the wrong guy. But if you're talking about the company, or you're talking about, you saw my speech on Lyme last week and you really got a lot out of it, then there's a reason. So, look at it like the person who's going to receive it as if you would receive it. What would make you feel, hey, I'm impressed? And I do think a little video clip is pretty cool because you get to show your personality. Why not? I mean, sometimes that's all you have working for you that you're not allowing to work for you. Is some people look at like, everybody can learn something, everybody can do something, but who do I want to be with? And in stress, I'm a really positive person who loves to bring goodwill wherever I go. Well, hiring managers like, boy, we got enough anchors around here already. We don't need another one. Let's get somebody to freshen it up. So, again, I think to everybody's point, keep yourself moving, keep yourself active. If you're doing enough and you got enough going on, you don't worry about the one rejection out of the 10 requests. And, and after a while, if you just, let's say, spread your bets around where you got time here, experimenting here. And I think, like I say, the big benefit of a group like this is that every day you could say, hey, I just experimented with this. This is what I didn't get, or this is what I got. What do I do now? It's almost like having lifelines. Remember that show with Regis Philbin? It was like, you get a lifeline or something. It was, but the point,
a millionaire.
Yeah. And so that's the same thing. If you got 20 lifelines and you say, hey, I got a question, and use this as a forum, because now it saves you 20 emails and 20 messages. You can just say, hey, I went to ABC company. They told me this. I don't quite understand it. Just like today, ATS became a topic out of nowhere that a lot of people learned from it. And I think Harvey and Kelle and myself and Danny and Paul and all these people contributed so much that, and the nice thing is you didn't have to take notes if you didn't want to, because this replays, right? So your notes are already there if you want them. And you can go back and cobble together every day. If it rained gold nuggets, wouldn't it be great every day to take your basket and pick up a few and then come back tomorrow and pick up some more? And that's what people can do here. But you've got to be the one who asks, who shares, who opens up. And a vulnerability is the difference between waiting 7 months or a week for a position. And I think the hardest thing about waiting is you don't know. If someone says, hey, in 6 weeks, help's on the way, the money's going to be there. And for 6 weeks, anybody can hold their breath for a while or do something in the short term to get them through. So, we're a little bit over, but it is the weekend. So, Harvey, we're kind of locking this thing up pretty soon.
It's a real shame. I just want to carry on going. Apart from my connection issues here, but it's just been so good. I do want to just pick up a couple of comments before we wrap up, because I thought they were really useful comments.
A few minutes longer, so take your time. I want to recognize the comments as possible.
Travis Land is here now. Travis, I've only just connected with Travis, so hi, Travis. But Travis is looking for some new work in the gaming industry, and I put him on my post. But he made a really interesting point. We've been talking about very difficult systems here, automated systems, not getting interviews, the frustrations of that, and he said there that the system isn't broken. The system's there, and it's designed for people to sort of be inventive to get around those systems. Whether it's turning up on the door or connecting to the CEO, and use really interesting and innovative ways of not just applying in the normal way. We've spoken about so many different things that you can do that will elevate you to something different, that will get your voice heard. And I think that's a really good point, because you can get frustrated if you just look at it from one perspective. We always talk about looking at things from different perspectives, and I think that's a great way of looking at it, and a really positive way of looking at it as well. If people have that take home, that even when they see 1,000 people applying for something, there's ways around that, and be that interesting person who does something different. Danny made a really good point as well. Danny made an excellent point. He said, don't talk about what it is you do, what you're good at, your job description, your skills. Find out what this company's pain is, what problem you can solve, which department are you looking, where are you going to sit there, and what are they trying to achieve? make it easier for them to do their job, make it easier for them to achieve what they want to achieve. Really try and do a bit of research on these companies and find out what those pain points are. I think that was some really, really solid advice there. I think you've got to show that everybody, when they're employed, or when they're trying to be employed, wants to be valued as well. Mm-hmm. And I think to be valued, you need to show that value. And there's some really interesting ways you can show that value. And, and then employers then value you as well. I mean, I've got to do my last little prop. I've got another prop. So we've got a bonus prop.
Oh, great.
And here it is. And it's a little pin badge. And I got given that when I was 18 years old. I worked for a pub. And I'd worked there for 5 years, and they gave me a little pin badge to say, well done. And I think it's a little bit of a message now to employers, mm-hmm. about valuing people, saying thank you. I remember seeing a CEO who employed people on character and, really getting behind what's written on a CV. So I think remember you are valued, strive to be valued, and value the people around you, whether you're an employee, whether you're looking to start a business, everybody around you has value, absolutely including you. So it's really exciting stuff, and I'm absolutely loving today.
Well, that's terrific. Kelle?
Yeah, I mean, amen to that. And I will say, and I think I've said this on another show too, I've interviewed hundreds of people over my career, and I will tell you some of the greatest hires I have ever made were not people that necessarily fit the skill set section. They were people who had the drive, the hunger, the desire to learn and to be valuable to the company. And when they're eager, that's what you want, because you can teach anybody a skill. It's all about what do they want to be there for? Do they really want to be part of the team? So I think that's a valuable thing. And it's kind of funny, I guess. Tuesday on the Awesome Journey, as a matter of fact, we are having a recruiter, and his name is Ed Hahn. So do tune in for that. He is a recruiter that a lot of folks, at least in the US, look to for advice, other recruiters. And bring your job questions. I think one of the things, the reason why I'm guessing that we've had so many comments today is this impacts so many people. I think so many people are either looking for something new, looking for anything, and just truly struggling on not knowing where to start. So I think this is a conversation, like Harvey said, that we could go on and on about. And I'm the same, so passionate about helping as many people as possible. And this is such a wonderful platform to be able to do it. But just as a reminder to everyone is you're not alone. Like, you're just not. And then I know it feels so discouraging sometimes. And but just know that you've got people that you can reach out to. It doesn't have to be on the public facing side of LinkedIn. You can DM any of us. And I guarantee you somebody will respond to you. So just do know that. I think that's a huge takeaway. And obviously this is a topic that we could go on and on about. So what are your thoughts, Don?
Yeah, I think that we opened up a treasure chest of opportunities, and it, we've been talking about it primarily in the labor market, in the job situation. But if you're about to launch your own company, right, you need to employ yourself there properly too, right? If you're going to get into a new relationship, you need to employ yourself properly. And I think that's important because the underlying message beyond technique and strategy is value. No one cares what you need or want. It's not their issue. People only care about what you deserve. And you should get what you deserve, not always what you need or want. Some people's needs are tremendously out of reality. Some people's value they place on themselves has no relevance to reality, and some people have to be humble. Some people have to be modest. The question is, how many jobs did someone turn down? And I think to Kelly's earlier point, where I am, I can go and get 6 fast food jobs in 30 minutes. they got things $18 an hour, $17 an hour, part-time even. Well, if I could walk 2 blocks and get 6 jobs, I don't need a car anymore, right? If I can only work 4 hours, and what's 4 hours flipping burgers? So I'm not advocating everybody get into fast food. I'm saying is you need to make accommodations and accept what you can when you can, knowing it's temporary, right? If I had kids that were hungry, I wouldn't find Wendy's to be the worst place I could find myself in, or whatever. So, employ really comes down to activate yourself, value yourself, and continue to bring value for others. Because in essence, when you're working for somebody, you're expected to serve. You're expected to create value. And while you're waiting for that, here's 40 people who would love to be supported, love to have you get behind them, put some time and effort. I would think that someone would just say, here's my 40-hour week, share it with the audience here, make a post. Wouldn't that be cool? I need to fill in my 40-hour week. I'm looking for a job. And can you help me out there with your comments? What would you do during these hours? Right? Now you're not even asking them for a job. You're asking for help putting together your formatting, right? And the less intrusive, the less pressure you put on somebody to give you what you want, the better opportunity is they may take the time to work with you. But if you say, yeah, it's a yes or no right now answer, it's typically going to be no. So, I think you got to be creative. You got to be imaginative. You got to look around what isn't someone doing. What isn't somebody saying? There's an audience for everything. Rita says humility. Kinga says, I taught LinkedIn classes of people who were laid off after 20 years. Put yourself out there is how you create opportunities. Be curious. If no one's hearing you, you got to get louder. You got to loud yourself more often. Do more, faster, better every day for yourself. And if nothing else, people will say, hey, that person has perseverance. That person's got tenacity. That person ain't giving up. Maybe that's the kind of person I need in my organization, right? The people who won't quit, the people who just feel like they won't stop. That's what people are wanting, because employers don't want turnover. They don't want to train people and see them leave. That's not to their benefit. And but that's the way it is. Last one maybe, Dean, but you have to say something. Closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't ask, it's always no. That's the biggest, I think, disappointment one can have, is knowing they timed out instead of wore out. They just watched the clock tick off on them, and then they were just gone. And for people who want that, that's what they probably will get. But for the people who want more, who the people are worthy, the people are hard workers, they don't want to accept timing out. They want to get in the game. They want to show people what they can do, and they want to belong. Here's a huge one from Olu, is you spend resources you don't have much of because you're not earning income or to search and then tweak your it's a downward spiral, because you're doing all the work, you're having all the fear, and nothing's coming through. It's difficult. Danny says in Scottish, whatever. Maybe you can translate, Harvey. You shouldn't. I don't know.
Bairns get out. I think. Now you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, but a bairn I thought was a baby, but maybe I'm wrong here. But Danny, you're definitely going to correct me now. I can see it coming up.
This whole UK contingency coming together now. So this is great to be worldwide. So with that said, I want to thank everybody so much for being here today. This has been just a wonderful conversation, and I love these river rafting trips we take together where we don't know where the next twist or turn or how fast the rapids are going to be, but everybody I know leaves a little more excited. I leave a lot more excited, and can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Gretchen will be here, and then it gets only better as time goes on. We're going to have Rita here Wednesday, Kelle here Thursday, Christy and Harvey Friday. Baz is going to be joining Kelle and me this week, which should be phenomenal. So anyways, have a lovely day today, and let's come back tomorrow. And please reach out to people if you're in need. It does work, and it's important. So thank you again. Bye for now.